Hello, everybody. Welcome to What the Flick, the Newsroom, Season 2, Episode 4, Unintended Consequences. Thoughts?
Unintended Consequences, I started counting episodes. There's like 9 in the season, right? I was
10,
like,
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're screwed.
Okay, so there's like 6 left. Okay.
Wait, so right off the bat, you did not enjoy this one?
Not remotely.
Oh,
see, this actually had. Well, it's weird. You know, we talked last week about how there's you go through the episodes and you glean the good stuff and you try and avoid the bad stuff. I think this episode had some of the best good stuff and some of the worst bad stuff, at least of this season, maybe of the entire run of the show.
Well, why don't we do some of the good stuff?
Okay.
What did you like about it?
So, well, this is sort of it's a bad stuff that becomes good stuff. One of my bad stuffs for this episode was that the rep from Occupy Wall Street goes on Will's show and he basically, he has her for lunch. And, if you ever see Alexis Goldstein on television, like, she is not an idiot. She is nobody's fool. She knows how to give an interview. So I found it kind of annoying that they take this character who is bright, who teaches at, was that supposed to be Columbia?
I don't know.
Who's a professor, and just sort of hang her out to dry. But the upside of that was that they spend the rest of the episode trying to apologize to her because she has a contact in Zuccotti Park who's going to help them with the Genoa story. And I think by having that character in that position, it allowed the show to be like, give us an outsider to say, oh yes, you guys are all assholes, aren't you? And so that I enjoyed, the idea that all these producers and Sloan are trying to be apologetic, but they're so arrogant and they're so smug that they can't go past a certain point before the game is blown and they say something really inappropriate.
They can only keep the act up for like 45 seconds max.
Exactly.
Their real personalities.
Yeah, that's as much humility as they can do.
So about the whole her going on the show and being ripped to shreds, I understand that he was a bit unfair in that like he purposefully sets her up as the leader when he knows that they say there are no leaders, and so I think he was sort of dishonest in a way that his character is not supposed to be. But I don't know about the whole needing to apologize and that driving the whole show. I feel like she did not know what she was talking about. She gave horrible answers to the questions, and so yeah, you did badly and you're going to look like a fool.
No, I get that. But again, I think the real life Occupy had better spokespersons or whatever you want to call them.
The depiction was kind of unfair in some cases. Like, it was such a straw man version of no matter what you say, no matter how much you try to lay out that maybe we should do something that's conducive to change. Nope, no leaders whatsoever. We're not going to do anything. I think that was kind of unfair.
Yeah, so the only part that I found unfair about it, and I was at Zuccotti Park, so I have an interesting perspective on this, is that they believe that change will come with a changing of people's perceptions and mind and culture, etc. And that never really fully came through in the show, right? So like, I wish there was at one point where she or another character would have said, hey, listen, when we change our way of thinking, then we will get these things will naturally flow as a consequence of that, all the results that they want and all the different things that they want. Outside of that, I thought that the Occupy character was the most smug and the most unbearable of all of them. Okay.
No big deal.
Oh, well, you and a million other people. Wow, aren't you high flying? And so I felt like she was going to say like, oh yeah, I also go grocery shopping. Like, oh wow, do you? Okay. I've read a book or two. Okay. Anyway, so if I was Will McAvoy, not in a million years would I have apologized to her. I would say, go apologize to the people you're representing for being so ill-equipped, right? Well, like, are we supposed to play patty cakes? Is one of the changes that you wanted a media that would not ask you hard questions, but that would ask you soft questions, that never challenges their guests? That's one of the changes you want? No, I would assume that that's the opposite of what you want at Occupy Wall Street.
No, I agree. I mean, he's got nothing to apologize for. What'll be interesting, and I hope they get to this over the course of the season, is if ACN, is that the network? If ACN news shows start doing more stories about income inequality,
after what he said.
Exactly, because that is the impact that Occupy had. The phrase income inequality became very common parlance by after a month or two of the occupation of Zuccotti Park, and so that is the impact that they had on the media. And so yeah, it wasn't an immediate thing where like here's our manifesto and here's our candidate, but it is, I think, I hope the show gives them credit in the long game for the impact they did actually.
And so also really fast, will hook up with Shelly. Because he did stay to audit the class, and she'd asked him about the girlfriend. Like, I feel like they're setting up something there.
And so Nina is down to well at this point, I guess, after they slept together last week?
I think that's a fair depiction.
Okay, I guess so. Fair enough.
Is that acceptable or unacceptable if he hooks up with her?
She teaches at college. It's okay.
As long as she doesn't come on the show again, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I think some people might call it creepy. I'm for trendy, not trashy.
Oh my God. She's a grown woman.
It's two consenting adults.
Yeah. No, that would be fun. That would actually, that would give me something to look forward to. Okay. Anyway, so back to the Occupy for a second. The whole time they're sending squadrons of people to apologize to this irrelevant person. If she's, to me, if she, okay, you're not a leader, great, then you're irrelevant. Okay, you have that one piece of information that we need. Okay. Well, I know Zuccotti Park, like I said, I was there. It's not that large.
I was gonna say, how many interns would it take to just comb the place and find this?
And all you'd have to do.
Apparently, what they did.
Yeah, and at the end they did it, but they would have never sent all those people. Like, come on, you're investigative. You're like legendary investigative reporters, and you can't comb through 300 people to find out the one guy
you're busting a secret military thing, and
and worked at an NGO related to Pakistan. I could have find that answer for you in under 7 minutes when I was there. Okay. And I wouldn't have sent like Brian Williams and Keith Olbermann to go apologize before I found that answer.
Yeah. Okay, so that's A story. Then B story is finding out the horrible thing that happened in Africa, and
which is different than I at least thought it was going to be.
It is. There were. I know there was some early speculation on the web that, oh my God, don't tell me she got raped. Which is not what happened. Here's what bugged me about that whole thing is that if you ever watch Project Runway, you can pretty much always tell who won and who lost based on how much camera time they get over the course of the show. Like, if there's a character who's been sort of in the background and then suddenly we're getting a ton of their, tearful calls home and their, design aesthetic, they either won or they're gone and we're never gonna see them again, and that's why they're getting all this camera time. So as soon as the kid becomes like central to everything and she, she's doting on and spending all the time, we're like, oh, goner, that kid's got a target on his back. And
look, I think it's pretty likely that it was going to be him, but I also thought that it might be their handler. When he walked out of the building with the gun, it seemed like the perfect shot for him to be shot from.
Yeah, but we already didn't like him. Like, she was annoyed they made him spend the night there, so his death was not going to traumatize her.
But it also seemed like they were so setting up the kid to be the one that dies that maybe it's a red herring and it's going to be... I actually thought that Gary Cooper might get shot until I realized then the lawyer would not have made a joke about his name and everything.
Yeah.
But
I briefly thought the Gary Cooper thing too, but mainly I was thinking, please no one say, oh, is your name really Gary Cooper one more time? Please stop it. Please stop. Okay.
Look, my brother's mother-in-law is named Esther Williams, and she has to hear about it every day. So, that's what happens when you get that name.
Well, to be fair, my cousin's named John Wayne.
Really? No. That wouldn't have made much sense.
His name Erdem Yavaşça. He doesn't get that a lot. Okay, so, but overall on the Africa thing with the kid and the rereading of the book, this is mainly what I thought. Oh, you're laying it on thick. Oh, you're laying it on thick. Okay.
Yeah, so here's I totally agree, and in hindsight, it seems like, oh, pretty white woman goes to Africa. Her hair, it's magical. No one's ever seen that hair. Although I didn't pick up that was the cause for cutting her hair until she started to cut her hair.
Oh no.
But also,
that was okay.
Yeah, I liked that. That was a nice change or a nice explanation. But they had less than 15 to 18 minutes for that entire storyline spread throughout an hour. Like, how much can you do to set up this super dramatic moment in that kind of time?
Well, maybe you don't do it all in one episode then,
Yeah, that's one point.
They played this up from the season premiere as the big, oh, what horrible thing happened to Alison Pill, to Maggie in Africa. And so to zip through it like that and to do it in such an obvious fashion, yeah.
And second of all, there was no nuance to it. They go to Africa. Africa is a strange and oftentimes violent place, and she's going to get hardened there. And and then she sees a child die, but she didn't expect that. Well, what did you expect? And
why would you expect that? And also for her to be sort of somewhat responsible in multiple different ways for it happening.
I mean, look, they wanted to harden her. They wanted to put some drama in there. I don't know. I feel like maybe if it was something the U.S. government did, or it was in the middle of a conflict that was broader, it would have had more significance. Like, she stumbles, like she tries too hard to get close to Coney, and then she winds up getting somebody shot because she was trying hard to do investigative pieces, rather than I went to Africa. In the first 5 minutes, I got a black kid shot. I came home, and I'm racked with guilt the rest of my life.
And I'm a redhead now.
Right.
Would you prefer more love triangle with Don and Jim?
Well, so then we go to choices. So then we go to that, right?
What I do want to say, I love Marcia Gay Harden sitting at a table. That is like one of my favorite things on the show. It's almost as good as Jane Fonda sitting at a table. Like Sorkin knows how to write the shit out of sitting at a table scenes.
Dutch bastard.
Yeah.
Those lines were pretty funny.
They were funny, but again, it's like come on, no one has these conversations.
Of course, but that's
why
we like Sorkin, because
I want to be that clever.
These are the conversations that nobody actually has. It's like watching All About Eve. Nobody really talks that way, but you wish they did. You know?
No, I hear you, but like it also, I guess my real complaint isn't that, because of course that's Sorkin. You guys are right. Is that in all the other scenes we saw of Marcia Gay Harden, we never really saw this side of her until all of a sudden it blossoms and she hates the Dutch and goes on this great rant about the Dutch that like I would go on.
But she's clearly,
like, you know what I'm saying?
But she's obviously trying to figure out Maggie's mental state and how rattleable she is, what's she going to be like on the witness stand, and by the end of the episode she knows full well, not good. Yeah. So, you know, that I bought all that. It felt like it was all a ploy, like it was part of her lawyerly bag of tricks.
So, and by the way, just a quick aside there, what was it that Maggie said that we became convinced that she would be a wreck on the stand?
Just when she's telling the story of what happened in Africa, by the end of it, she's so clearly upset.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, she's upset and she's not taking the Paxil that she was supposed to, and they're going to try and use her mental state in whatever this case is for whatever this interview with the general was where he did or didn't say something, which we'll later find out what that actually means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really fast, not to necessarily reopen this whole storyline, but the one thing that bothered me the most both about this episode and possibly the thing that's bothered me the most in any Newsroom episode ever is what was labeled in one of the reviews as Deus Ex Sorkina. The Shelly walking out of makeup and giving them the next lead. I understand that they're doing that on purpose and it's supposed to be like just falling in our lap. I absolutely hated that happened. They could have done it in any other way, and I would have preferred it.
I don't know. I thought because they set it up in such an obvious way that it was clearly just one of those. Well, you know. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I forgave it because it's television, but you're right. It's awful in a lot of ways too.
And it's like what Haley said. Well, that was an unexpected plot twist. Yeah. I like that little line. That was pretty cute. But
all right, I'd like to move on to the Bastard Girl.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure you would.
So first of all. First of all, the annoyed I'm like better than the room look that she's given for 99% of her existence on the show. Please make it stop. Please make it.
She's from Vassar though.
Okay, this Vassar thing, I don't get the Vassar thing. Like,
I don't know.
I went to like a nice Northeastern college, but I don't like. So the Vassar girls are smart. Are they unbearable? What are they supposed to be? Right? Like he keeps making these Vassar jokes like we all went to Swarthmore and would know like about Vassar girls, right? Like right before they're supposed to they were hooking up, and she says something how she's a Vassar girl. I'm like,
well, because he's been needling her about it the whole time, so she's throwing it back.
And he made that joke about Vassar versa and that sort of thing.
Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so finally, so then it's this total swing that Sorkin does, like, oh, I'm so offended that you got me this like life-changing interview. Like, first of all, you weren't offended. Stop it. Cut it out.
Exactly.
And then second of all, okay, I went from being offended and insulted to immediately wanting to aggressively hook up with you.
But they've always had that sort of the tension, you know, that drives it. And why did she think she got the interview? Because she's such an awesome reporter? Like, who the fuck cares how you got the interview?
She had earlier said that, like, why do you keep asking when there's no way in the world they're going to give you that interview, right? So then when you got it, didn't you think, like, wait, how in the world did I get this interview? Yeah. Especially when I was kicked off the bus and they got no interest in giving me favors. Like, are you an investigative journalist? Did that not occur to you for a second that that was kind of weird?
I also thought that they were setting up Jim to possibly hook up with the Romney PR woman. Because of the weird bathing suit scene.
Yeah, I know.
Like there was no reason for her to be in that.
Awfully intimate, you know, in a weird sort of way.
No, I think she's gonna hook up with Stillman.
Who's Stillman?
Stillman's the guy with the mustache.
The third guy not on the bus.
Stillman Hank or whatever, Frank.
Stillman
Frank.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I liked that. You know, in the last episode we had them leave the bus and make their big statement, their big protest, and I like that now we're seeing the consequences. They have the little bit over the top voicemail message with, "Oh, you don't have access anymore. Why am I paying you?" with a weird reference to prostitution. Like you're actually seeing in hindsight, why they don't do that.
So that evoked some emotion in me. So I guess that was my favorite scene. Because and at one point I was screaming at the editor, like, why do you want the advanced copy of what Romney's going to do in Vegas? I got news for you. Here's what he's going to do in Vegas. Dick.
The same old speech he's been given in the last 6 years.
Nothing at all except he's secretly going to go and pleasure Sheldon Adelson. And that's the real story. And who gives a shit about the press release they gave you in the morning as opposed to the afternoon? What the hell's the matter with you? But that is what they care about. And that, unfortunately, is the most realistic part of Newsroom. That the editors get furious if you don't get the useless propaganda in the morning as opposed to the afternoon. And that's how they control the press.
Now, answer this, because you would know this better than I do. When the campaign is sending out an advance copy of the speech, would they just send it to the people on the bus, or would they go out to media outlets everywhere anyway?
Whatever is their list, right? So I could not be on the bus and be on the list and get that, right? So there's a million ways to get it.
But they're probably not on the list.
Okay, right. I mean, I guess they're not. Like ACN would be on the list. Okay, so they want to screw over ACN. They don't give it to them. It's a matter of...
Who is she even writing for? I kind of lost it. Is it the Denver Post or no, the blog?
No, it's a blog. So it's a matter of, like, if you have a friend at CNN, which everyone in the business does, like at CNN or MSNBC or whatever, it would take you an extra 15 seconds to get the useless propaganda of the morning.
And by the way, as soon as that, not voicemail, she was talking to him over the integrated speaker or whatever, as soon as he dropped that line about wanting to fuck her, I was like, oh, I thought she was going to be a bit character for just a season. No, she's going to work at ACN. Like, that, I think, is clear now. And that's going to set up the drama with Maggie, who I would think is beyond that sort of meaningless relationship drama at this point after what happens with the kid on her back. But yeah, I think that's probably going to happen.
I don't believe Alison Pill is beyond any drama.
I guess.
I think that her whole point of her existence on the show is centered around like super thick melodrama.
Yeah, she is the Felicity who is constantly torn between Ben and Noel.
You watch a lot of shows at once. There's like 10 references you've put out that I've just been like, oh,
well, yeah, y'all know the politics better than I do, so I have to bring something to the table.
A couple of little things I want to mention. One, and maybe they've been doing this in multiple episodes, but it's the first time I noticed it. I think it was when they were in the makeup room with Shelly. I loved that they had the posters of the dude anchor, and then you saw Sloan. Like, they're posters of them, like, hosting the news. Like, oh yeah, you're finally acting as if it's not just Will McAvoy. Like, there's actual set dressing that's tied to those hosts.
To other programs.
So I loved that attention to detail. You barely see it, but it was there. Yeah. So there was that, but also, we've talked about this, I think, in all the reviews for the second season so far, but man, I loved every minute of every scene with Sloan. I thought that it was perfect when she was like just relaxing, doing the stocks. I loved every second of that. It's so how I imagined she would actually act as a character.
That she would be upset about Titanic and paying attention to Kodak.
The Kodak thing, I thought that was funny. I liked her scene with Shelly.
At the Shake Place, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I think that this might be one of the best things to come out of Newsroom, is that apparently Olivia Munn is not meant to just deep throat hot dogs on Attack of the Show and do little skits on The Daily Show.
Oh, she did that?
Yeah, she did that. Oh, maybe she is not intended to be a totally comic actress. Maybe it's supposed to be a bit of that awkward comedy sprinkled into a slightly more serious performance.
Every time I see Maggie, I'm like, oh, make the pain stop. Every time I see Sloan, I think, keep it going. Yeah. Keep it going. Stay right here.
But I think that's more about the writing than the acting, because I feel like I always have to defend her. I've liked Alison Pill and other stuff. I think
I still like her.
She is being saddled with this dish rag character, and yeah, you're right. There is no matter how traumatized Africa left her, the Jim thing will be a fresh new wound for her to pick at as soon as if indeed Grace Gummer comes to work at the network. So yeah, I put nothing past them.
Yeah. And to be fair, there are women in the world and men that love to play the victim. So she's going to get re-victimized and relive the melodrama. There's people who live for that melodrama in their real lives. So okay, she's a slightly over the top version of that, but those people in real life, great on our nerves.
One last interesting thing, very little Will McAvoy in this episode, and he was playing a slightly different character than he normally does. Very little Mac, so you didn't have the endless back and forth about the voicemail message. Again, Mac being portrayed as just caring about the job and being a very efficient, willing to hang up on Jim. and everything. And so I think that they're continuing, at least in some areas, to eliminate some of what many people hated about the first season and increase what they have in the second. Again, it wasn't an episode that was focused on one news piece. You heard about like the Rick Perry controversy, and I continue to like that they're sprinkling in the news in the background, kind of, without focusing on it as much as they did in the first season.
Well, true. So that sparks two comments. One, I was nearly certain that Rick Perry continued to go to that ranch while the sign was still there, whereas McAvoy said they immediately painted it over. I don't think that's true.
I think you're right on that one. I'd have to dig it up.
And so I was like, oh, that's giving Rick Perry too much of a pass. I think he saw that sign about a dozen times and didn't seem to have any problem with it, my recollection of the facts. So I don't know, that bothered me a little bit that they got an actual real life fact wrong, right? And then finally on Mac, yes, I totally agree with you. They've done a much better job this season of making her a professional, making her smart, competent, etc. And Jim, when he gave the interview to the Vassar girl, if I was Mac, I would have been furious. Because, hey, listen, this isn't, like, I'm not, like, we're friends and we like each other and stuff, but you got to do your job, okay? And your job, you got a 30-minute interview, which we could have grilled the hell out of Romney, which we could have done a great, and you gave it over because you had a hard-on? Because you were erect over a Vassar girl? Are you insane? No, I would have been livid about that.
Although I think his point that A, Romney wouldn't have done it on camera, and B, he wouldn't have broken any news are fairly valid.
Then why did you go there?
No, but
why did you go and waste our time? Because you were broken up over one girl, and then you got a hard on for another girl.
Yeah,
no,
be a professional.
I mean, you're right. It was dumb for him to give it away, but I think at the same time, it's true. He wouldn't have come out of that interview with anything for the network to use. My final point is there was a line also in the speech about where McAvoy's talking about the Rick Perry incident, where he ends it with talking about liberals and saying that because you don't want to deal with your parents' relationship to racism or whatever. And I thought, weren't Mac's parents born in the United Kingdom? Like, don't they, her parents have nothing to do with what he's talking about?
I heard that line differently. I don't remember the parents. I thought it was your own misplaced guilt or your own suppressed guilt, something like that.
I thought parents and heritage was in there somewhere, and I just thought, wait, she's British, right? Like, we never talk about that on this show, but there's an accent going on, right? She's not American? Anyway, so join us next week. We'll find out if Will goes out with Shelly, and if Vassar turns up at the network, and what power suit Marcia Gay Harden will wear next.
And I'll be honest, if Will hooks up with Shelly, I'm right back in it.
Excellent.
Okay, and I'm like, okay, all right, now this is fun.
Make it happen, HBO.
Especially if they show it.
Thanks.